All right, so now and then after me, we have a two-part presentation by Jonathan Smoke. And Deborah's already talked about that. He is the chief economist for Realtor.com and has not been with them for a really long time. We are very excited that they now have a chief economist, and even more excited that it's Jonathan. So let's talk about who's buying in South Florida. So we actually have, pardon me, 4 record-breaking years. Will we have 5 record-breaking years? Well, Linda Fernandez, are you still in the room? Linda's the one that came up and was coaching me on which flags are coming next. She is my partner in all of the international outreach we do with the association, but by day, her day job, is to be in charge of all of the public relations and market reports for the Miami Association of Realtors in cooperation with Chris and Pierre, who also does a lot of the writing and the research. And what they tell me is that we are on track for 2015 to absolutely break a record again for single-family homes. Condos will probably come in closely behind last year, and that would make it the third best year ever. But you know, when you have a market like Miami, a second or third best year is still more incredible than almost anyone else. And so that's what we believe we're going to be having, and most importantly, prices are still at 2004 levels. And so what are those prices? Now remember, the median price is here. And so that means that an equal number of homes sold at a higher amount, and an equal number of homes sold at a lower amount. It's not the average, it's the median. And so the median home sale price is $285,000 for single family and $200,500 for condominiums. After 51 months of increases for condominiums and 45 months increases over 4 years in both cases of price increases consistently, we are still at prices equal to 11 years ago. Now that's pretty amazing. And so here we have a kind of showing you what that chart was, and you can see where the market peak was, and you can see how far we fell from the market peak when all of the financial markets collapsed and everything else went on. So that was a real challenge for us. And we had a lot of new construction, pre-construction condominiums that had already been started but were not completed. And so the economists were saying it would take us 10 to 20 years to recover from that and to fill all of those condominiums once they were completed. And instead, we hit a new record year in 2011. And so it took us less than 5 years from what they felt was really going to take 10 or 20 years to recover, and that's thank you to our international market. You guys continue to help us to outpace the entire nation, and we are so proud to have Miami be the most international city in the entire United States. There are more foreign-born residents in Miami, Greater Miami, than there are in any other market in the any other major area in the entire United States. And so we're very proud of that. That's what makes Miami who we are. Active listing inventory. We have about 18,000 active listings, and that's in our entire 2-county market area, and we'll be adding in the properties from the Palm Beach area and Martin very soon. Now that's only 5 months of inventory for single family and 8.7 months of inventory for condominiums. A healthy market is 6 to 9 months of inventory. So that means that for single family homes, we are still in a seller's market, and for condominiums, we are approaching a stronger buyer's market. And largely because of all of the pre-construction condos, because about 4 years ago, they had to start building again because we had so few pre-construction or new construction condos that were available. And so now a lot of those pre-construction condos have taken a lot of the international buyers away from our resale market, but it's okay because the realtors are participating in 95% of all of those sales, because our developers know that the best way to sell their properties is through our members and our members' connections with you. And so, yes, so it's absolutely okay. And so our market is strong. You know, people would come in and say, well, let's offer 20% less. You do that and you're never going to find a property here. Because the average is the list price sells for 96% of the price on condos and nearly on single family, and nearly 94% on condos. They also average sell in 37 days for single family, just over a month, or 58 days, nearly 2 months on condos. Now remember, that's the average. That's of all properties that are on the market and sell. When you price them right and they are in premium areas, they are going to sell quickly and they are going to sell even higher, closer to list price and sometimes over list price in our market. Cash is still king in Miami. And so the national average is 24% of the transactions in the entire United States, including us, are cash. So we've bumped their cash numbers up. For Miami market, which is Miami and Broward and now our Palm Beach market, we are nearly 50% cash transactions. We are double the national average of cash transactions here. More condos, almost double the number of condos are cash compared to single family. And when it comes to new construction, pre-construction, over 90% of those are all cash. The United States, and particularly Miami, is a really good place to deposit the cash, to own real estate, and to have it appreciate and be a great value for them. Distressed properties. We still have way more than the national average of distressed properties. The national average is only 7. We have 24% distressed properties. But that's okay, because what happens is with short sales and foreclosures, we're still seeing some of the residual from people who bought high and then the market, went way down and they weren't able to continue on or wanted to walk away from those properties that are no longer worth what they were at the time. But the important thing about distressed properties is that they are turning over quickly. That means that when a property goes into distress, it sells quickly, and the new buyers do what? They put money into the property. Every time have you ever bought a property and not put money into it? I think it's mandatory. I think it's part of the contract that you sign. I'm going to spend a lot of money when I buy this property, right? And so what it does is it boosts the economy, but it not only boosts the economy, it boosts the neighborhood. Because that distressed property was probably not looking real great. But then they fix it up and others in the neighborhood go, oh, we should fix ours up. And so what the Miami realtors are doing, and those of you who also help us with selling the properties in the market, is we are every day improving the market, we are improving the home stock, we are improving the neighborhoods. It's a beautiful thing. Entrepreneurship. Pre-construction condos. Many of you have heard Peter Zalewski, who also hosts Crane Spotters for us. And if you've ever heard him, he talks so fast. I always warn you ahead of time, you have to listen fast. But we actually literally have had our interpreters just take their microphones off because they can't even begin to keep up with them. And so Peter talks really fast, but he has a lot of great information. I would like you to make a note of cranespotters.com, because each of you can go into cranespotters.com and see an interactive map of all of the pre-construction condos east of US 1 or east of I-95, which means it's the prime market near the water, all the way up and down through Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. And so it's a great resource, interactive map, key information about each of those properties. And for those of you who are Miami members, you also get additional prime information that most people are paying $1,000 a month for. So you must log in as Miami members if you want that additional information. I'm sorry, I should have gone on. They are now selling 103 projects, which is just over 17,000 apartments. But 71% of those are already sold. So we only have 30% left on the market. And many condos now at this point are deciding at this point in the market, do we still want to build or do we not? And so they're kind of evaluating that. The ones in the best, most desirable areas will always sell, and they will always sell well. Some of those that are in not such prime areas or not such popular areas are evaluating whether they still want to build their condominiums or not. So who's looking at Miami properties? I mentioned some of that as the flag ceremony was coming in. The reason that is so important to us, and each of you in your countries or in your markets will want to try and track who is looking at your properties in Brazil and in France and in the other markets that we have here. And the reason you want to do that is because it's an incredible indicator of future buyers. If they're looking at your properties that strongly, that means that's a target market for you to establish partnerships, to make connections, and know that they have an interest in your properties. And so, Realtor.com, we love quoting their stats, and we told Jonathan that we use them all the time, and in all of our presentations and our media releases and everything else. And they post every month the top 10 cities in the United States that are being searched by international buyers only. And so Miami is usually number 3, and it's okay, being number 3 here is all right, and Fort Lauderdale is number 6. And so you add those two numbers together, we still may not beat out Los Angeles, but we'll certainly get a lot closer because we are one market. And then I've actually highlighted San Diego. You may think that's a little stretch for our market, but not for our partners. And so San Diego is absolutely one of the top international markets in the United States. We share a lot of weather and beauty and water views. They're just having cooler nights than we are. And so I don't expect you to read this, but we will be posting all of these presentations online so that you'll be able to use any of them that you choose to use. And this is one of our favorite ones. We told Jonathan how important this one is for us because Realtor.com tracks the top 20 countries that are searching on Realtor.com. If you do not see your country up here, that means your people need to get online at Realtor.com more often so that the search numbers are up. So these are the 20 top countries that search, and it's the 5 top markets that they search. And so 12 out of the 20 countries have Miami as one of their top markets. And bless their hearts, some of them choose us twice. They choose Miami and Miami Beach or Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And so sometimes we're 2 of their 5 top choices of where they're going to search. So then we also have, not the same numbers that Realtor.com has, but we have a lot of traffic that comes to MiamiRE.com. And Deborah and David, who is working on all of the production here and was taking photos last night, are the ones responsible for MiamiRE.com. And Deborah gives us these stats every month. And so the top countries searching on MiamiRE.com, as I mentioned, Brazil is number 1. And Linda would be able to give me the exact count, or I guess Chris would, because he also prepares that. But I'm thinking it's been 13 out of the last 14 months, or 12 out of the last 14 months, Brazil has been number 1 searching our market. Love those Brazilians. Venezuela is number 2. They have not often been that high up there, but Venezuela has been, for as long as NAR has been doing the international study for us, they have been number 1 buyers in the Miami market. Then we have Colombia, Argentina, India, Canada, France, Russia, UK, and Spain. And so many of those markets are our top markets, and if they're not in the top 10, they're at least in the top 20. The other thing that we track is Linda, through a great service that she talked me into spending a lot of money for, has been well worth it. And they tell us who picks up our news releases. Now you all know how difficult it is to get a news release covered in your own newspapers, because if it's not crime or something sensational, it just doesn't make it, positive news. So when other countries are covering Miami's real estate, we know that it's because their readers are reading about Miami real estate and want to read about Miami real estate. Now you might be surprised that the tiny country of Guam is number 1. The reason for that is there is a news distribution service that is headquartered in Guam, and it distributes all over the world.